For 2.5 centuries, one banking dynasty has been quietly stashing so much treasure that even the world's biggest museums look half empty. Picture this. While the British Museum begs donors for a single Turner, one Rothschild attic stores 30. Today we're cracking open the vaults and counting 10 of the most jaw-dropping, headline-proof trophies the family never meant you to see. Stick around. Number 1 just sold for more than the GDP of a small island nation. Chapter 1. The Manor that Eats Budgets. We start at Waterloo Manor, Buckinghamshire. Ferdinand de Rothschild finished the place in 1883 and told guests the gardens alone cost the modern equivalent of £68 million. The house itself is worth north of £450 million, but the flex is inside. 18th century Savonnerie carpets Queen Victoria couldn't afford, and a Sèvres dinner service so fragile the butler swaps white cotton gloves every 10 minutes. When the National Trust took over, they found a sealed room with 15,000 bottles, every vintage Château Lafite from 1868 to 1945. Good luck sourcing that on Wine Searcher. Chapter 2. The Art Stockpile, worth 2 banks. Ignore the manor and you still face a $2 billion painting pile. The Rothschilds picked up Gerrit Dow's tiny panel, The Young Mother, for 800 guilders in 1840. Today it's insured for $60 million. They own so many Renaissance Maiolica plates that the V&A once borrowed 300 for a show and still left half in storage. When the Louvre wanted Ingres' portrait of Baron de Rothschild, they traded a Roman mosaic plus a chapel ceiling, treasure for treasure, and still owed a favor. Chapter 3. The Vineyard that prints money. Château Mouton, Rothschild isn't just wine, it's liquid royalty. The new vintage sells out in futures before the grapes are even picked. A single 1945 Imperial, 6 liters, went for $1.2 million at Sotheby's. The labels alone are collectibles. Picasso, Francis Bacon, Prince Charles. Estimated value, $150 to $200 million, but it's not for sale. The French state calls it a national asset, and the family won't bite, even when a Silicon Valley crew offered to pay in Bitcoin. Chapter 4. The Park that Inflated 7,000-fold. Gunnersbury Park was snapped up in 1835 for £17,000, roughly $3 million today. London's property boom now nudges the estate past $132 million. Nathan Rothschild wanted privacy. He got 200 acres and a mansion close enough to the Bank of England for a lunchtime carriage ride. During World War II, the park became a barracks. Yet the family hid their most fragile artworks in a purpose-built sub-basement under the lake. Divers still find sealed lead cases, empty, but the catalogs inside read like a looted museum. Chapter 5. The palace they use as an office. Spencer House in St. James's serves as HQ for RIT Capital Partners. Renovations in the 1980s cost £35 million, back when that could buy a Canary Wharf tower. The ballroom ceiling needed 7,000 sheets of 23-carat gold leaf. Tours run twice a week, but the Rothschild wing stays off-limits. Inside, a 1795 John Adams presidential desk and the first U.S. Treasury bond the family bought at a 10% discount in 1796. Face value today, with compounded interest, $1.5 billion. Never redeemed. Tearing the certificate would wreck its historical value. Chapter 6. The Yacht that Outruns Navies. Planet 9, rumored to belong to Nat Rothschild, stretches 73 meters, dual helipads, a hangar that flips into a nightclub, and enough fuel to circle the planet twice. Charter rate, €1 million a week plus expenses. The 2 custom tenders come from the same builder that supplies Scandinavian coast guards, because when you're worth billions, even your toys have backup yachts. Chapter 7. The carpet worth a brownstone. 17th century medallion. Ushak carpets once warmed Ottoman palace floors. 1 Rothschild rug, 4 by 6 meters, sold privately for $43 million. 3 more sit in climate-controlled storage, rotated yearly to keep the sun away. Experts joke the weave is so fine it makes Persian masters cry. Auction houses just drool because export permits no longer exist, making them, for all practical purposes, priceless. Chapter 8. The Gilded Walls That Talk. In 1892, an entire Milanese palazzo room was disassembled and shipped to Paris. Gilded leather panels showing the triumph of David, each hide soaked in honey and saffron for 6 months before the gold went on, giving a shimmer photos can't catch. The set now lines a corridor at Waterloo. Insurers won't quote a value. No comparable sales since 1911. Chapter 9. The Library You Can't Kindle. The Rothschild book vault holds first folios, Gutenberg fragments, and a 1493 Nuremberg chronicle whose hand coloring still glows. The star is the 13th century Parisian Hours of Blanche of France, illuminated by the monk who tutored St. Louis. Replacement value, $80 million, except it can't be replaced. Every other copy is already locked in a museum. Chapter 10. The One Object Above Price. Top spot goes to an 1815 document, the original Waterloo battlefield surrender dispatch with the blood-stained fingerprint of Napoleon's courier. The Rothschilds raced it to London 36 hours before official news reached the Crown, letting them scoop government bonds at panic prices. Historians credit that single trade with locking in the family's dominance. The parchment lies in a titanium box under biometric locks in an undisclosed Geneva free port. No insurer will touch it. The family self-insures, valuing the advantage, control of the British bond market, at roughly $1.2 trillion in today's money. Good luck fitting that on an auction block. If any of these treasures fried your circuits, smash like so the algorithm keeps the secret billionaire train rolling. Subscribe while you're at it. Next week we're inside the Medici vaults, and you won't want to miss the reveal. From Manor to Yacht, Claret to war dispatches, the Rothschild collection isn't just pricey, it's engineered history. Every piece doubled as a lever for empire building, quietly compounding influence while public museums fought over scraps. The family motto reads, Concordia Integritas Industria, but it could use a fourth word, confidentiality, because silence has multiplied value faster than any stock. So next time you sip a claret or stroll a stately garden, remember, someone, somewhere, already bought the vineyard, the castle, and the ground under your shoes, then locked the gate, just in case the rest of us noticed.